Hey neighbors, and greetings from Sarasota, where I did the filming and photography for this video. This video is part of the Calendar Girls Open Collab, which means that you must use calendars in your projects, and the theme this month is Easter. We are hosted by Tiffany from Simply Blessed Crafts and Jessica from The Busy Housewife. Their channel links, as well as a link to the playlist, will be in my description box below, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. Okay, project number 1 is a calendar florals cross. I'm going to do my best to let you know about these supplies here. The cross and the little upside down box come from 2 different Dollar Trees, the letters from Amazon, and then I brought some craft supplies from home, which is like the glue, the paint, the Mod Podge. I ended up having to buy calendars in Sarasota where I'm doing this crafting. This project I did on the hotel bed. I don't know why. I thought it would be easy, but it wasn't. You know, and I was leaning over and my back was cramping and you could see my knee there. It just wasn't the best idea, but since I had everything set out, went ahead with it. This is, you know, pretty easy project. I'm going to put down some white acrylic paint in preparation for the decoupaging. And then on the base here, I'm going to put a nice thick coat, and while it's still wet, I'm going to put some of this pretty fabric down, which you'll see in just a second here. I got that from Walmart at home. And I thought instead of painting it and sticking floral foam and moss and everything, I wanted to have a cleaner look. So I decided to do the fabric. I brought it with me. I wanted to use it. So one coat underneath and then a nice thick coat on top. And I had to also do the sides. And you could, you know, trim and do like a strip for each side and part of the base, the larger part of the base. But I just kind of went with it. I just kind of folded things underneath and trimmed it to get it nice and even, and then hot glued the little pieces of fabric that were still there. And that's a little, let's say, shirt bonder, and I just picked that up at Walmart before we went to Sarasota. So that's what the base looks like. It's nice and dry already. It didn't take long. So I'm going to put some Mod Podge this time on the cross, but I'm not going to decoupage it the same because we're using the calendar paper now. So what I'm going to do here is get a good coat of Mod Podge down and then let it dry. And in the hotel room, the best, well, I shouldn't say the best. You could put it outside on the balcony, which I did. It is a little bit humid. There were times when I used a hairdryer that was supplied by the hotel in our room. I made use of the iron and the hairdryer. So this is one of the calendars that I purchased at the Dollar Tree in Sarasota, and I really liked the background with the old-fashioned cursive writing and that sort of faded vintage look. So I'm going to go ahead and use that part for the, I guess you call that the middle of the cross? I'm not sure. But I'm going to go ahead and use it for that bottom part of the cross. I like the way that looks. The Mod Podge I have is glossy. I think the other kind, like matte, might have been better because there is a little bit of shininess on the edges, but we're just going to go with it. This is the iron that was in the hotel room, and it worked just fine with a little bit of paper towel because I didn't have any parchment paper. So, you know, not only is this video about using the calendars and about Easter, but it's also about being able to craft away from home. You know, and you can only remember so many craft supplies before you just either have to borrow from your room or make a trip to the nearest Dollar Tree, which I did both. Now, to get the floral part of the calendar to fit. I just kind of pressed it onto the cross so that it left creases, and then I used that to either tear it or cut it away until I had the shape of the top part of the cross. And just a few passes of the iron and that's on there good. I'm using some wood glue and hot glue, and I'm actually just going to glue that right on top of the fabric, since the fabric is now one with the wood on the base. To finish things up, I'm going to put down some of this moss. I want to say reindeer moss, but I'm not sure. But I just wanted a little bit around the wood base of the cross, but I wanted to be able to see that pretty fabric, and you know, that was just giving me a nice clean look that I really liked, and I'm glad I did it like that. I originally had the letters on the base at the front, but you could hardly see them, and it just didn't make sense, so I removed them and put them over top of the florals. I wish I had a darker paint color so the letters would pop a little bit more, but I didn't bring any brown or black with me. So I'm just going to play with this. This was like a wreath I got, and I took it apart and sort of poked in flowers till I was happy, and better look at the final reveal. Okay, project number 2 is a coaster leaner. I had the best intentions of creating 3 projects for this video, but it just wasn't happening. So I brought these tiles from home, purple tiles. I did purchase them at Habitat for Humanity a while back. And then I also have that like sort of long, heavy rectangular sign there. And that's going to come together with the tiles to create this coaster leaner that I speak about. So one coat of the wet acrylic paint, and then a good shot of warm air from the hotel's hairdryer, and then we're going to get down another coat to sort of fill in the streaks there. I kind of like that the purple shows through. It doesn't look purple, it just kind of looks like dark underneath, and I like that look. So I did the 2 coats and then I just left them. Now this is the, it's heavy. I guess you would call it a sign. For whatever reason, I thought I should add some yellow paint to this. I am not sure why, but after looking at it, it was just a little bit too much. So I came up with an idea to use the back page of the calendars to make a wallpaper. Now I chose the Honey and the Bunny for the coasters, and I'm just going to show you. They are both from the same calendar. I have used that bunny previous years, and it's just so iconic with Easter. But I wanted 2 coasters for this, so I chose the bees because we had been to Selby Gardens in Sarasota, and I had made a video with the bees on the flower, which I might share with you in the future. It was pretty cool. So I was thinking of bees, and I thought bunny and honey. Gotta go for it. So wet Mod Podge for this coaster. Tried to get a nice even coat, and while it was still wet, put down the little. These are like the sample pictures from the back of the calendar, just to show you what is inside, because they are sealed in plastic. So the nice thing about using it wet is you can sort of move it around when you put it down, if you need to just like give it a little wiggle or so, which I did. Then the second one, the way I cut stuff out, this one ended up with like a little corner that didn't have any papers, so I trimmed off a piece and sort of I cut out a lot, but I just kept like trying to poke it down, and every time I painted over it, it would move. And finally got it right, and then I gouged out some paint trying to do it. So after I get the Mod Podge on here, I just dipped at the corner of the little paintbrush in some white paint and tapped it down, and I think it came out just fine. I just went over some of the darker areas of the coaster, and then I set those aside to dry. So my idea for the base here was to just make a little wallpaper using those same sample picks, but doing a variety. And I used a couple from the same calendar that I got the Bunny and Honey from, but then I also opened up another calendar because I liked the colors on the back. And I don't know if you can tell, but I like trimming off these little ones wide, like a wide trim, because there's like a little shadow on them, and I like that shadow. Turns out they were a little bit too big for the top, so I just creased it and either tore or cut off the bottom of one, the top of the next, the bottom of the next, the top of the next, until it was done. You don't even have to do that. You can cut it however you want. You can rip it up in pieces and make it look like a collage. This is just what I decided I wanted to see. And it's just playing around with the colors. And then I was going to try and reposition it, and it already was so on there that I couldn't do anything. So I just did a drizzle of Mod Podge on top of everything, and then went over it again with my little sponge brush. Now everything's dry, so we're going to finish things up. So we got our Honey and Bunny, and that's what it looks like without any florals. But I have this cool wreath that I brought with me, and sadly had to take it all apart. It was just too bushy, like it was just too full. But I loved the different greeneries and colors. So we had purple, yellow, then we had like the spring green of the boxwood, and then we had like a more forest green with some of the larger leaves. I also had these cute little birds that I got at Dollarama in Canada. So I went ahead and put one on each end. And then I trimmed off these things of leaves because I thought that would look neat, sort of coming out behind the coaster. Like so. So I actually did this pretty symmetrical, which is, not what I would normally do. Unless I was doing like Thriller Spiller filler. But even then, we don't always... Symmetry doesn't happen in nature, but I guess it happens in crafting. So I just kept hot gluing down little bits of my florals and greenery until I liked how it looked. I also off camera added a few of those little bees. And better look at the final reveal.